Welcome to VisAbleBlackwoman, the podcast. My name is Janine T. Abraham, and I'm your host. For this week's podcast, I decided to Zoom chat with a new uptown sensation, Chef Devin Phillips. Some may know him as Rabbit. He is the man behind Rabbit's Ark, a Blackanese restaurant that pairs fried chicken wings with the Japanese flavor with traditional soul food that's become a hidden gem in Harlem. What started as a low-key sidewalk kitchen, previously known as Rabbit's Chicken and Waffles, has built a serious following for made-to-order wings, fish sandwiches, mac and cheese, garlic greens, and more, all cooked up by Chef Devin himself, sometimes late into the night. It's a one-man operation where nothing leaves the kitchen unless it's exactly right, and that kind of care shows. Chicken and Waffles has a deep roots in Harlem, tracing back to the Wells Supper Club in the mid-1900s. And Devin's out there carrying that soul food tradition forward, one plate at a time. We get into why he made the switch from Rabbit's Chicken and Waffles to Rabbit's Ark, what's next for the pop-up, and more. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Chef Devin Phillips of Rabbit's Ark. Hey, y'all. I'm so happy to have Chef Devin Phillips of Rabbit's Ark Harlem in the house on the podcast. How you doing, Chef?
Blessed by the best in yourself.
I can't complain. I just was so inspired by our chat when I stopped by your location in Harlem that I had to get you on the podcast because always I'm wanting to feature small business owners here in New York, particularly those who are connected to food and love and joy. So tell me how you got the inspiration to create Rabbit's Ark here in Harlem.
Okay, so Rabbit's Ark started 14 years ago. It's actually my second restaurant. My first one, I had an Italian espresso bar. And when that one closed, that was the birth of Rabbit's Ark. I actually never wanted a soul food restaurant. But when I was in the Italian espresso bar, a lot of my Caucasian customers were curious as to why does this Black man own an Italian espresso bar? And my response would be, well, I'm cultured. And that's what I wanted. And I wanted it on a smaller scale. It's not as hard as it is to run a restaurant. And they kept asking me, do I fried chicken? I said, of course I fried chicken. So I added fried chicken and waffles to the brunch menu, and it became one of the best sellers. And as we know, numbers don't lie. So when I closed the first one, I started an entire business, which we now know as Rabbit's Ark, based upon that item, chicken and waffles. It's so funny. I'm not even a fried chicken and waffles fan together. I like them separately.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care for them together, but the numbers didn't lie. So I just went with, what sells. I had a pet rabbit, and the rabbit ate the chicken and waffles as well. So that's why we have a rabbit as a mascot, because I named it after the rabbit. And once I closed the first one and was trying to figure out what was next, I spent a lot of time in my bedroom, my laptop, and my rabbit, contemplating on what was the next move. And Rabbit's Chicken and Waffles was the original name. We just recently changed to Rabbit's Ark back in January, because I want everyone to know the faith story. So Rabbit's Ark to mimic Noah's Ark. So that's why we're Rabbit's Ark now.
Okay.
And we are currently, keeping forward in faith and building. Through a pandemic. We've been here in Harlem going on 7 years now. Because we got here in 2020, all in response to the pandemic. So here you have the pandemic in 2020, and Rabbit's Ark was a street fair business. And at the time, the street fairs were canceled. So I just happened to move to Harlem, and the city-owned vacant lot was right next door to my home. And I just said myself, I prayed about it and I said, you know what, I'm going to continue this business in front of this vacant lot. So I took the same operation that would take place at street fairs and continued it in front of this city-owned vacant lot. And 6 years later, here we are. Hmm.
And as we were talking, speaking about the city, because it's literally such a innovative setup.
Right.
And it's like I'm always looking and seeing, I was like wondering how it's a gazebo and he's got everything set up, but nobody ever takes anything. And you were telling me about how the community has come together to protect your space. So tell me more about, like, from our conversation, how the local police and the Brothers on the Block, how that support network of safety and care helps your location because it's open.
Right. Correct. So it's a gazebo now, but when we started 6 years ago, when we continued 6 years ago, at that time it was a pop-up tent. Right. So now we're at a gazebo because it's set in stone that we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. Um, I just put out the intention that we were safe. I'm a praying man, and I pray that the angels are surround us, protecting us. And I put out the intention that I, as a Black person living in the Black village, should be safe as I practice business. And because it's open and so visual, if anyone goes near it, my phone rings, the neighbors are calling me, Devin, there's someone, close to it. They're around it. They look a little sketchy. We have motion detected cameras up. So if anyone were to go there, I would know immediately. And I feed everybody. Everybody, all walks of life. I speak to everyone going around. So the neighborhood, the community is very protective. The police officers, in particular from the 32nd Precinct, are customers of ours. And we have 24/7 clientele. So there's always someone walking past that has been a customer
Mhm.
at all hours of the day. And when we're closed, there's nothing left out there but tables and chairs. There's no food out. There's nothing that anyone could access to actually steal. And everything is so large and heavy. And we were here. Hmm.
Well, I think it's lovely that the community comes together, and particularly in a time when there is so much, you know, there can be so much disconnection between the Brothers on the Block, the police, and so forth, that everyone comes together for the sake of your lovely, delicious food. That is more than just chicken. So tell me about how you create your menu from day to day and your process for um, for creating delicious food that people are talking about all over the city, including on the news, because you were on the
Right,
news last week.
right, right. So we were just featured on Fox and Friends. They contacted us last week to feature us for National Fried Chicken and Waffles Day. So we were on the air live this past Saturday. We are a soul food Japanese fusion restaurant. We have a full menu that ranges from macaroni and cheese, collard greens, green beans, nanos, potato salad, fried chicken, fried fish. And when you come to Rabbits, if the menu is on the smaller scale, usually I have had a lot of caterings going on and behind the scenes where that's all I have time left to prepare. So if you get to Rabbits and you have full menu available, that's usually because I didn't have a catering, and I had the time to produce all of that because I'm still at a point where I don't allow anyone else to cook but myself. And that's on purpose. That's intentional. I'm not a business owner that's trying to own a business to not work. I very much so enjoy working and very hands-on. And I can guarantee that the food is supposed to be what it's supposed to be as long as I'm cooking it. And for those who don't know, that's a big part of the chef's responsibility. It's just to ensure and guarantee quality, consistent food. My intention every time I approach the kitchen is just to produce exceptional eating. You just want it to be exceptional
Yeah.
every time. If it's a French fry, you have to change your oil, the coloring. There's so many details, and I named some of the items, like we have Nano's potato salad. My great grandmother, Juanita Drusilla Phillips, who I call Nanos, was is the reason for me becoming a chef. I never wanted to be a chef. That was not something I consider myself. I am a singer and an educator. I would have taught school had I finished my degree, and had I not pursued a music recording career. That was my plan. My great grandmother passed away when I was 13 years old, and it wasn't until now in my adulthood that I understand how I ended up cooking and stayed in the kitchen had a lot to do with my coping mechanism of staying close to
Mm.
her. So
Mm-hmm.
her love language was cooking for people and was food. And that's also become my
Mm.
love language. So I understand the approach the kitchen to prepare a meal to feed someone, in that entire relationship and spirit behind good eating, as she would say. And and fellowship, and I just she loved Thanksgiving. To this day is my favorite holiday. I mean, I started thinking about Thanksgiving. What is this, August now?
Yeah.
My mind is already at Thanksgiving and who's coming over and what am I going to cook, and that's usually a 3 to 4 day process before the actual day.
Yeah. It's
Hmm.
you really do feel the love in your food. I brought it home and we were all just, it was nice to just take a break and sit together and just enjoy the diversity of flavor that is in your sauces, in the way that you season the food. It's not often that you can feel so much love in the dishes. So you're really pouring that love into it, and we appreciate you for that. But we also talked about how you are able to manage all of the things that you're handling as a entrepreneur who's doing everything on his own. Can you talk a little bit more about how you love to walk and spending time in nature, how that impacts your ability to care for yourself and nourish yourself as you're doing all of the things that an entrepreneur does?
Hmm. Absolutely. It's funny. I remember during the Barack Obama administration, I'm one of the hugest Michelle Obama fans. And I never forget when they were in office, Michelle Obama took to the front and she made a statement. She said, it's very difficult being a wife and a mother and the first lady at the same time. So I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take care of myself before I attend to my husband and my kids. So I never forgot that. And there have been a lot of times throughout the course of my career where it was just all work, 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 work. And I had to proactively take myself out of it and remind myself that I'm the goose that lays the golden eggs. So the golden eggs are the production, the byproduct of what, is done. And to say that there'll be no golden eggs unless there's a healthy goose. So I'm in church every single Sunday. That keeps me grounded as much as possible. I love Lenox Avenue and Central Park, and I walk to Central Park on from Lenox Avenue all the way down. I get into the North Forest, and I kick my sneakers off and my socks, and I practice grounding, and I sit there with the phone off and I meditate. So I take that hike. So that's up the hills. When I come out of that park and walking back, to work, back to home, I feel like $1 million, like a brand new person. So it really, really
Mhm.
works.
Yeah.
So something I remind myself that is my work. Just like I would never wake up and not brush my teeth. So now
Yeah.
I'm building, the habit of I would never start my day without prayer and exercise. It's so important because I need to exercise and to meditate and to be still with myself before I go out into the world and spread and exchange energy with everything that
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Now,
And I can't afford to do anything less. Throughout this process, the pandemic was tough. So that's why it's so important. Wellness is number one. Drink your water, mind your business. Right. Because otherwise we're not going to see much of Rabbit's arc at all unless I'm, doing that part.
so if you were going to ever share your gifts with someone to support you, what would you look for in someone who you would train to, because it is hard to do everything on your own and it's not
Mhm.
sustainable.
Mhm.
We talk about Black women and our health quite a bit, but a lot of times Black men don't really talk about it. So thank you for
Mhm.
being so open about your process. And I would hope that as you grow, that if you were to find, what would you look for in someone
Mhm.
to help you and support you? What would you be
Mhm.
looking for?
I'm looking for another me, a mini me. Um, and with that being said, people see me at this point as an entrepreneur, as the owner, as the chef. But once upon a time, my very first restaurant job, I was a busboy. My very first New York City restaurant, I worked at a restaurant called Petite Bay. I was a busboy, then I became a barista, and then I became a runner, and then I became a server, and then I became the bartender, and then I became a manager, all at the same restaurant. I literally would go into work, had the keys to the restaurant as well, and knew how to do every single job. I could jump into the kitchen, I could wash the dishes, I could take the orders, I could do everything. And it's that kind of scope that you need to really run a restaurant at this level in New York City. I always say that New York City, we are the world stage. So doing business in New York City is not like doing business in Kansas. It's just
So
more
you're looking
difficult.
for, so you would look for someone who would start from the ground level and be
Right,
willing to just be
right,
support staff doing whatever, and then be willing to work their way up with your mentorship.
right. I would prefer that they already come with some experience. I like people who can manage themselves and don't want to be bothered and to get the job done. Hmm.
So last question, because I don't want to thank you for giving me so much of your time. Question that I ask for everyone. What about what about your experience as an entrepreneur brings you the most joy?
Whew, that's a hard one. I don't. Okay, I would probably have to say I pride my independence the most. So just the ability to get up and to put my hands to the plow and approach work and sign my own check has to be the greatest joy
Mm,
um, that I have being an entrepreneur. Yeah, my
yeah,
independence.
your
Hmm.
independence, the
Hmm.
freedom within that.
Absolutely.
Wow, Devin Phillips, thank you so much for giving me just a little bit of your time. And I just love all the work that you're doing and anything that we can do to support you. Uh, we got your back.
Yes. Thank you so
Yay!
very much.
Thanks, Chef Devin, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to chat with us at VisAbleBlackwoman, the podcast. Rabbit's Ark is open from 6 to 10 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday and is located on West 130th Street between Lenox and 5th Avenue in Harlem, USA, New York City. Now, Chef Devin posts his menu in his Instagram stories. Now, his Instagram handle is at Rabbit's Ark. I'm going to put all this in the show notes, so check there for the links. And please stop by Rabbit's Ark and tell them that VisAbleBlackwoman sent you. I want as many people as possible to know about what my guests are up to. So that's why VisAbleBlackwoman, the podcast, is available for free. But if my work resonates with you, subscribing is the best way to help me to keep creating. You can find me VisAbleBlackwoman in a few places. Now, I'm listing all of these in the show notes, but here's a list of where I am. I'm right here on Substack for the podcast. Also, I write in-depth essays about TV, media, film, and wellness right here on Substack. A lot of my subscription for Substack is also for free. I'm a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic, and my TV and film reviews are available by subscription on VisAbleBlackwoman on Medium. You can also catch the podcast on YouTube, VisAbleBlackwoman, where a like, subscribe, and share go a long way. You can listen to VisAbleBlackwoman, the podcast, on Apple Podcasts. And for exclusive early podcast releases and exclusive content with behind-the-scenes access to interviews with actors, producers, directors, chefs, wellness, my dance classes, my sound meditation, that is all available on VisAbleBlackwoman Patreon. So no matter what your level of income or whatever you can do to support, I've got you. Do you have me? Please do. Thank you again to Chef Devin Phillips of Rabbit's Ark, and thank you all, as always, for listening. VisAbleBlackwoman, the podcast, is written, directed, produced, edited by me, Janine T. Abraham, a real-life human being.